Is that going? Does that work?
It's okay.
Deacon, our speaker on the topic of water. Anna started her career in the music industry down in London, and she went from tea lady to starting her own business in her own agency in Soho. But today she's going to tell us a bit more about her passion that came up from moving up here to Scotland, which is open water swimming. So please put your hands together for Anna Deacon.
Hello, can you hear me at the back? Good? Okay. Thank you so much for coming. I feel very honoured to be asked and to be in a room with such amazing creatives and quite a few swimmers as well that I can see. I asked you all to fill in a sticker saying about when was the last time you did something that scared you. This is something that's absolutely terrifying for me. I've never done anything like this before in my life, so I'm hoping that it will be okay. So just to get into the theme of it all. So I wanted to start off by, here we go, busting some Instagram myths. Now, I've met quite a lot of people on this journey who assume that I'm an absolutely brilliant swimmer, I'm really adventurous and crazy, and it's absolutely not the case at all. That's kind of my selfie in the water. That's how it might look. That's how it feels. I am actually terrified of the water, if I'm honest. I don't like having my feet off the bottom. I've got an irrational fear of sharks, so even though I know there's no sharks really here and there's nothing to worry about, it absolutely terrifies me every time I get in the water. So if you just say sharks to me when I'm swimming, I will get out, even if I'm in a river. So I hate public speaking and I'm scared of water. So it's a bit of a weird thing to be standing here talking to you about swimming in front of, 100 people. So bear with me. I'm feeling a little bit out of my comfort zone. I wanted to start off by talking about burnout. For me, I want to just take you back 10 years. I just had my second child. I'd started my photography business. It was all kind of going quite well. Small, 2 little children under 2, so it was kind of hectic trying to manage that and a new business. But I suddenly got ill, really quite ill. I was hospitalised, not really knowing what was wrong. And really the last 10 years for me have been a kind of a roller coaster of feeling great, taking on loads of stuff, and then having a massive health issue and having to stop. And then being fine again, and then taking loads of stuff on, and then getting really sick. So for me, I hit a massive wall in September this year. My husband had worked away for 8 months, and I was juggling too much work. I said yes to too many things. I think most creatives and freelancers will say yes to every job that comes our way because, bills. So I just took too much on, and I was juggling and just getting myself in a pickle. And I got to a point of just collapse, really. I wasn't able to think straight. I felt very lonely. I felt isolated and really sick. I've had periods of time where my joints have been so sore that I've not been able to operate my camera or write or drive a car or really dry my hair. Sometimes it's been quite bad like that. So, it's been up and down. As soon as my job seems to go well, I seem to hit a wall, I take on too much and then collapse again. I also felt like, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same, that I was not enjoying my job anymore. I wasn't enjoying taking photographs. I wasn't enjoying the process of photography, which was something that I've always loved to do, because I was taking pictures for other people and not for myself. And I went to a talk last year with someone who said, go do something for yourself. Take photos just for you and see how it makes you feel. So this was the beginning of my project. I often went swimming with my cousin who's here, Lil, in the audience. She's the one that got me started with this. We often would meet and go for hikes along the East Lothian coast and just go for a swim. And this one particular day, we both met each other. And she's an artist and I'm a photographer. We're both very visually inspired by the sea. And we both brought our own stresses to the beach that day. And I'd been feeling very sore, in fact, to the point where I was really struggling. Just my hands were stiff and I couldn't, I just felt sore all over. But we got there and it was like this. It was so beautiful. Bass Rock is actually there, but you can't see it because the har was coming in. And we just played in the waves and we just chatted and we roared at the sea and we got all our anger out and our stress and our children and jobs and husbands. And I had this moment, I just said, I need to photograph this. I need to get my camera out of my bag where it's been getting a bit dusty and just capture this moment. And then I handed my camera to Lil, and I'm not actually sure which one of us this is. It could be either one of us in this particular picture. But that was the moment for me where I thought, actually, this is something I'm going to do that's not connected to my clients, it's not connected to my work, it's just for me. So that was the beginning. And then I thought, I'm going to see if I can meet some other people to photograph swimming, because this is something they love to do it. I love seeing their faces when they're swimming. It's just so joyous. And so I started meeting more swimmers and put a bit of a call out. Is anyone up for being photographed? Just for fun. I don't know what this is going to be, if this is going to be in a gallery or if it's just going to be for me. But I met some amazing people and started photographing them. So this is typically how I photograph. I actually get in the water with my camera. It's not a wetsuit, it's just a rash vest. But I found that the only way to get a good angle is to actually get right on in there. So this was my friend Joe taking a picture of me, taking a picture of Anna. And that's the picture that we got. I just found that as I went along, I was meeting this incredible community of people. So my feelings of isolation started to go. I made new friends who have become very deep friends. And I found myself going on adventures, and a lot of the things I felt like illness had taken away from me, like running that I used to love and things like that, I found that this gave me a sense of confidence back in my own body, if that makes sense. A little micro adventure gave me something to get excited about each time I went, and meeting people along the way. So this was an amazing morning, sunrise morning. So I just feel like for me, this was the start of my healing process. It wasn't just about taking pictures, it was a physical healing that I was finding as well. And the more people I met and the more people I chatted to, I found that they were coming to the water for healing as well. It's just some more, some of the fun and frolics we get up to with our swims. So I wanted to just talk about some of the people that I've met along the way who have come with some of these issues to the water. And what I just realised is that actually telling their stories was more than just taking their photograph. It was actually talking to them and finding out what was making them tick, what was making them come to the water, how it was making them feel. And I realised I needed to put it somewhere. So I started an Instagram account just for this, again with no sort of real, aim or end game. It's just something just for me, just for fun. But actually I realised that I wasn't alone in feeling that lack of confidence in my body because of pain and because of anxiety, that actually I'd found a community of people who were also had their own issues that they were dealing with. some of the things that people came to me and said that they felt when they got into the water. These mindfulness, it's incredibly mindful practice going into cold water. I've been told to do a lot more mindfulness. It's supposed to help with my stress, which will then help my physical healing, but I can't do it. I don't know if you've tried those apps where you're supposed to sit and all I think is, did I buy enough bread, or what time do I have to collect the children? And I can't go into that headspace. But when I go swimming in cold water, and we're talking this time of year, it's about 6 degrees in the sea, but we've been doing it all winter, and I think my coldest swim was 0.8 degrees, and it was ice, which we smashed, which was crazy and fun. But that cold water, you can't panic. You have to just get in slowly. You have to be completely aware of everything around you in that moment, because otherwise you'll panic. And if you panic, you will breathe badly and you will get into a state. So it's a mindful practice. And so you go in and you're concentrating on slowing your breathing down. I'm doing this when I'm cold. I'm checking if I still got my fine motor skills, or do I need to get out? And I think when you start feeling kind of elated, it's time to go. It's, you've had too much. It's almost like when the pain starts to drop off, it's time to get out. So for me, it's a mindful practice. I go with people, and sometimes I meet a group of people to swim, and we'll chat, and we have a laugh, and we just blather away. Other times I'll sort of just swim off by myself and just be in the moment. But I think for me, the mindfulness aspect of it is one of the biggest parts. Obviously the exhilaration and the joy, it's just so exciting. It's a wonderful thing to do. It's a little micro adventure in what might otherwise be a normal boring day, just to kind of go to the beach before work, jump in, quick swim, you're done in 10 minutes and off you go. And again, the friendship and community. I moved up here a couple of years ago. My family are here. But I didn't have a huge group of friends, and I feel like in the last year, 6 months since starting this project, I know so many more people. It's extraordinary. Really wonderful people too. Found my tribe, I think. But I think a lot of other people I've met have also felt the same, a connection with people who are all coming to the same place for the same thing, which is generally healing, whether it's from emotional stress or mental stress or physical ailments. But the pain relief as well. For me, I sometimes have had days where I've walked down to the little beach not too far from my house near Granton Harbour, and I walk down and I'm really, in agony, actually, if I'm honest. And I get there and I get in, and when I'm in the water, I feel safe. I feel like my joints start to loosen, and I can walk home and I feel light, and I don't have pain anymore. And I'm not the first person to say this. There's lots of people finding the same. Just a few facts about what it actually can do for you. It can boost your immune system. Your white blood cell count rises as you react to changing conditions. It can enhance your circulation. It's been proven to help with depression, the stress hormones, and releasing those feel-good hormones. There's been a study done recently, which was subject of a TV show. I don't know if any of you saw The Doctor Who Gave Up Drugs. It was about a year or so ago, with Dr. Chris Van Tulleken, and he took a subject, a girl who was suffering from extreme depression, and he was trying to get her off antidepressants. And obviously, this is controversial. I'm not suggesting that anyone should do this necessarily, but he was doing it for a medical study, and he was able to slowly take her medicine down and get her cold water swimming instead. And a year later, or 2 years later, she's doing extraordinarily well. She's not on drugs anymore, and it's been part of a study, the British Medical Journal, so you can look it up online and see how that goes. Again, it helps with the stress hormone cortisol, and it really increases your feel-good hormones. And it reverses inflammation. We all know that ice baths are used after with athletes, and it speeds up your recovery time, and brings pain relief through the numbness. So it is used a lot, but it's not something that most people would necessarily consider doing, especially in Scotland. Here's a little picture I took of the complete joy that this guy had breaking through the ice. He actually swam under the ice and busted right through there. But it was the most awful shooting conditions that day. I was swimming as well after, but it was the wind. I can't even explain to you how windy it was. It was horrible, but it was also a lot of fun. This is also these amazing girls up in the Cairngorms who do this on a very regular basis, busting through the ice with a sledgehammer for a swim. They just do it in their lunch hour. They both work in Aviemore, and they meet up in their lunch hour, go smash some ice, and go back to work like nothing's happened. It's great though, huh? It's another little example of a good endorphins. These are just at Portobello. And there's a whole concept, a scientific concept called blue mind. But it says that our brains are hardwired to relax when we're near water. Releases dopamine and serotonin, which are the feel-good hormones. We also get magnesium, which is a great mineral. It's in the water. Seawater's been used for eczema. Seawater's used for nasal sprays and for respiratory problems. And the sea air is great for us as well. It releases negative ions, which improve our ability to absorb oxygen. You can always go for a little skinny dip at Bass Rock, or Ass Rock as we now call it. What you can't see is that this is snow here. So it had been snowing, and we walked through a farmer's land to find this place, and he busted us. But we have the right to roam, and he thought it was hilarious. So he did stand on the top of the cliff watching, thinking this was the best thing that happened to him all week. But it was a wonderful moment, I must say, but very, very cold. But the point I'm trying to make is it's not for everybody going swimming in the sea, I know that, or even in any cold water. But it's about doing something that challenges you and doing something that is out of your comfort zone, which is what this is right now and what this is for me as well. But in doing that, I found healing through my creative process. I feel like I've got something every time I go. It's different. The sea always looks different. The sky always looks different. The people I meet are always different. I never know what I'm going to get. And that for me is a massive boost to my creativity. And also just having these little adventures is just fantastic. And they're so quick. They're over and done and you're back to work again. But also I wanted to say, I think when you hit a bit of a burnout and with your work, especially as a creative, and a lot of us probably work from home or work on our own, and we're quite solitary at times, and it can be quite lonely, and you can find that, you maybe run out of ideas, and you're trying to be creative for someone else, and how can you be creative for someone else when you don't feel creative at all yourself, and you've just hit a bit of a wall? So what I decided to do was also collaborate with people, just try and find other people to do projects with. And I think that something like this is brilliant for that. There's so many people in this room who might be doing something that you could connect with, even if it's a totally different practice, and find something completely extraordinary together. And one of the things we did recently, I met Danny, give us a wave. Danny, who probably a lot of you know, runs the Chachi Power Project, which is the body confidence movement, if I've got that right. We decided to collaborate on International Women's Day and organise a swim down at Wardy Beach, which, talking to a few people here, but most people don't know about Wardy Beach. It's my favourite. I prefer it to Portobello personally, because it's just kind of tiny and it's a little bit hidden. And it looks a bit skanky, but it's really nice for a swim. It's not the prettiest beach. I mean, I've cut all the high-rise buildings and the trolleys and stuff out of the picture, but it's a nice place to swim, actually. But it was actually over 70 of us in the end that went in and did this swim. It was 7 in the morning, and we had cake and we had chat, and it was just a wonderful group of wonderful women from all over Edinburgh and beyond, many of whom are in here. somewhere. And this is, again, some of the pictures. But we got into quite a lot of the papers with this story as well, which was really exciting, not only for the kind of feeling behind it, of that collaboration and the International Women's Day and celebrating ourselves, but also, you know, just to kind of promote doing something different on International Women's Day and getting a group of people together. So that was coming from collaboration, I felt, of new inspiration. And then another strange taking an opportunity moment happened. I got a phone call from the producer of This Morning on ITV in November saying, will you come tomorrow up to the Highlands and swim for a TV short? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, we're looking for some swimmers to be in a little slot we're doing. It's a 5-minute slot about wild swimming. And I thought, oh, do I want to go in a swimsuit on national TV tomorrow? No, not at all. I've got way too many things to do. I don't want to do that. But I thought, actually, do you know what? I'm just going to do it, right? I'm just going to take this opportunity because, you know, when are you ever going to do that sort of thing again? So I got my cousin and we went. And we this is me grabbing some frames before we got in. It was 3 degrees in the water and I left my swimming gloves on the side, so that wasn't fun. But yeah, we did it, and we were on telly, looking a bit, you know, waving, but it was a good fun moment, and I'm glad that we did it. But it's again about taking opportunities, and if I hadn't started this project, then there's so many people I wouldn't have met, and there's so many things I wouldn't have done, and I would have been perhaps sitting at home just boshing out the same old work that I always do for the same old clients that I always meet. And this has taken me so far in a strange and random direction, but I'm really enjoying it. So, you know, meet some people, do some new things. I want to just encourage everyone to find some wild, get outside, just find somewhere different that you've never been. Maybe Edinburgh's amazing. We've got so many places here that you can go within a short bus journey or a walk. You can go to some amazing beaches, you can go to forests, you can climb up a mountain in the middle of the city. You can do these things in your lunch hour. You don't have to plan a great long holiday. You can have amazing micro adventures right here all the time. And it's just such a great way to reconnect yourself to the world, really, I think. This is a study in Michigan. Imagine a therapy that had no known side effects and could improve your cognitive functioning at 0 cost. There's an amazing study where they got a bunch of creative people together and put them out in the wild for 4 nights and got them to do a bunch of tests before and do a bunch of tests afterwards, and it was extraordinary how much better they performed after having been in the wild with no technology, no screens and no distractions for 4 days. They came and it massively improved how they functioned. And I just sharing a few pictures really. I think even just if you're not into swimming, which a lot of people aren't, just being near water is something that can inspire you. It's always different, it's always exciting. Take a journal, take a sketchbook, just go outside with a friend or just go by yourself and just feel inspired by being somewhere exciting and beautiful. And as a creative, I think a lot of us are stimulated visually, and I think just being outside and looking at a horizon and just letting your thoughts wander, letting that imagination come to you and hopefully find some new creativity. This is at the Old Man of Store, actually really, really hard to photograph because it was so cold and so windy, and I kept falling down this hill because this lock was at the bottom of a really steep hill. I was trying to get this photo of this guy and he kept shutting his eyes, and I was like, oh, what are you doing? My hands are so cold, I can hardly take the picture, and it's like, the sun's going and coming and going. But so I ended up sort of half in the water. I wish someone had been there to take a picture of me taking this picture, because I was in a, I can't even explain it really. It was a tricky moment, but I love it because it feels so wild. I just met this guy, never met him before. We went and swam in this crazy place and it was so cold. And but it just makes me feel alive, really, I think. More people having fun in the water. And this is me out of my comfort zone. I don't like having my picture taken or taking pictures of myself, but I also wanted to document it for myself to remind me of the fun that I'm having doing this project. And it's not made me any money, and it's not done anything like that, but it's just re-inspired me on every level. I feel physically better a lot of the time, and I feel inspired, and I know that that's coming across in my work for my clients as well. There's another little trip that we did with the ice smashing girls. And also talking about collaborations, I've collaborated with Vicky on the picture here, who's a writer, and we're now hoping to make this project into a book. We've signed up with a fantastic agent, so who knows where this might end up, hopefully. But yes, just I feel like there's beauty everywhere you look. Outside, you just need to get out and take your camera and just, if you're a photographer, obviously, or your sketchbook, or just let the thoughts come. When you go somewhere quiet and you go somewhere beautiful, thoughts will come and creativity will come and calmness will come. It's not just about the wild moments. I quite like these moments of quiet. I like watching people get ready for a swim and their little rituals they go through. That's at Loch Neelan up in the Highlands. And I love meeting people and telling their story. I love this lady here. She comes every Sunday and she swims up and down, and she's completely fearless. Her daughter comes and just kind of potters about, and I love the fact that she's this amazing role model for her daughter, who's seeing her mum be so strong and fearless, swimming through the winter, up and down in all kinds of weather. Just makes me very happy to watch. We're almost there. Yes, just moments. This is just at Portobello, so easy to get to, and just such a wonderful place just to go and look at the water and feel that calm coming over you. And again, for me, I went to a talk about a year ago with a photographer from Canada who set herself some targets, and she said, these are all the things that I wish could happen for myself. And she made a list of them, and she worked towards making them happen. For me, I've had a few things on my kind of mental hit list for the last 10 years, and one is doing an exhibition, one is doing a book, and one is just to have more stuff published in the papers. And I'm trying to sort of slowly realise that maybe doing this might help me get towards that a little bit. And we've had quite a bit of coverage so far on the project here. So for me, this is my dream. I'm actually in it at the moment, doing what I'm really loving. And I just want to encourage everyone to go out and maybe try doing something that puts them out of their comfort zone. It doesn't have to be swimming, but something that maybe you would have turned down because it was too scary, or out of your comfort zone. And maybe that will spark some creativity, or you make new friends and you can find a new lease of life. I think that's kind of me.